Hi, I'm Dorothy Souza. I believe in angels, and I have brought you here today to see if you can also relate to believing in angels. During the next few weeks, we'll have different guests on, those that speak to the other side, your loved ones, to knowing what it is to actually experience an angelic miracle. And so each week it'll be different, but it'll be fun. Today, I'm happy to say that we have Silva here. She has been connected with angels since the beginning of time. And Faye, welcome to the show.
Thank you.
Okay, so that being said, can you tell me a little bit about when you first connected with angels?
I was very young, didn't know what was happening. We were living in California, and it just seemed like every time there was something tough going on in the family, things were, really bad, I would have dreams of someone helping. And I can remember telling my mother, "Oh, things will be okay." And she goes, "Well, how do you know?" I said, "This man told me." And I would tell her I had a dream of this man. And the funny thing is, for a long time I had this dream about the same man all the time and didn't know who he was. And one day a movie was on TV, and you're going to laugh, but it was Paul Newman. And my mother started laughing when I said, "Mom, that's the man who helps us all the time." So she always, laughed. "Oh, you picked a handsome one for one thing." But look how Paul Newman turned out with how he helps people.
True, very true.
Yeah, so, as I grew older and saw what he did with helping children and, with all his fundraising and donations and stuff, so I think the angels did bring him to me in a roundabout way. But that was the first thing I noticed. And then I just had feelings of certain people, like who to watch out for, don't go near that one, things like that.
So you always listened to your voice,
Yeah,
which was actually
not
them.
always a voice, it was a knowing. Just, I can't explain it. It's like you don't hear voices, but then you just blurt things out, and it's just, these things. And I used to say, "I know." So I call it a knowing.
True. And you've helped a lot of people in the past just by getting messages through them.
Yes.
Them sending you some information, you feeling like you have to let somebody know. How's that worked out for you?
I'm just starting to do it more, building the confidence, but a lot of times people think you're crazy. It holds me back, but I find out that the more I hold it back, the more I keep getting that same message. And then I realized once you tell them, you release it and it's gone and that's it. And usually, I should say, all the time that I've done it, it's been right on. Yeah. It may not happen, like right away, but they'll call me. Like my brother, I gave him a message about a job opportunity, and I gave him the week that it would happen, which was Valentine's week, and he said, how do you know that? Because I saw a heart.
Oh.
So, and I kept asking, is it this day? Is it that day? No, yes. And so I knew it was the week of Valentine's Day. So I told him, if I'm right, let me know, which I never heard anything from him for like a year. Then out of the blue, he said, "Oh, by the way, you were right." I go, "About what?" He said, "That job opportunity." So, and then I've gone up to complete strangers and told them things, and, they said, "Oh, yeah, that happened," or "I can relate to that." And then they would come back later and tell me, "Oh, you were right." So it's a good feeling that you're helping someone
Right.
by giving them the message that is coming from the angels. You can ask. I find that a lot of times you do have to ask for their help, but they'll help you in an emergency, but normally you have to ask them.
Yes.
And if you don't know the angel's name, you can just say angel of whatever it is. It is nice to know their name, but they don't care what you call them, really. Whatever you feel comfortable with. Like, this is a funny thing. I call on Archangel Gabriel when I cut my hair to guide my hands.
Good.
Yeah. So, and I'm not a hairdresser.
Well,
So people say, how do you do it? I call on the angels.
it looks fantastic. It
So,
does.
you know, that's proof right there.
When you were growing up, did you find that your family was supportive, or
No, they weren't.
They weren't.
No. It was like, you know, you're crazy. So you learn, I think, from an early age that, well, maybe you are, so you shut it off. You can shut it off and turn it on whenever you want. It's very interesting. There's so much information out there. You think you know everything, but you don't. And there's constant information coming in. So the more people you talk to, the more you learn, and the more you understand. There are a lot of classes you can take, but not all classes resonate with you.
Right. And
So
you've read a lot of books also.
Oh, I'm constantly reading books, sometimes 2 or 3 at the same time.
Wow.
And then you get overload and you go, I got to put these down and stay away from them. But then you get that feeling that I have to start reading again. But you don't always remember everything that are in those books. It's what you need to know.
Right.
That's what I find.
And that's good, because a lot of people do get messages from their angels. The problem being that if they have a message for somebody, they're afraid to do that because they don't have that validation. They feel like they're going to think I'm crazy, or, you know. And so they are reluctant to give a message. But they have to understand that that message that's coming to them from the angels is very important. And what I tell people who are reluctant to give messages or do healings or anything like that, it's not about you. It's about who you are helping, who's at that tail end, who's receiving. So you have to take that ego out and just trust in them that they're giving you the correct information. And that's kind of really hard to do. And I find that through the years I've spoken to many people, and that is the hardest thing, to say, okay, I may look foolish, or they may tell me I'm totally wrong. It's okay, because eventually that message you got from the angel is going to resonate with them, is going to help them. But it is really hard. It's really hard for them to let go. The good news is once you do let go, you never shut up. it's just constantly there. Through the course of the shows that we're going to be doing, I'm going to be asking people to write into our email address, which is called callingallangels444@yahoo.com, because I want to hear about the different miracles, the different challenges, and maybe even have some of these read online, or read here on TV, or actually have the person come in. There are so many miracles going on right now that this is a time where it's needed. There's just so much bad things going on out there, and it's bringing our vibrations down. However, if we can have something, a nice, fun story or a nice, enlightening message, then our frequency goes back up, and we can move forward. So it's really, really important, I think, for more people not to put so much dark stories, dark shows on, but something that will bring your vibration up, make you feel good. Unfortunately, these days, that's not what's happening. But people like you who give messages have to realize and understand that these messages are helping them in so many different levels. I had someone recently, a friend who had lost her husband and wasn't sure if he had left on his own or he had created his own demise. And she was really broken up about it, and she actually was trying to do herself in so that she could be with her husband. When I told her, and I asked the angels, I said, okay, tell me. They told me it was an accident. It wasn't something that he had done on purpose. Once she realized that trying to do herself in was not the answer, that she had a contract, that she had to follow. This is an agreement they've had lifetime after lifetime. And I think it's really important that people who need messages receive them. And people like you who do this need to keep on doing this in a good, positive way. So, any other? I do know about your little one, your grandson, and I thought that was an adorable story. That the only thing he wanted for Christmas. Do you want to tell us about that?
Oh, yes. He wanted the archangels, statues of the archangels.
No toys, just the statues.
Yeah, that's what he wanted. And usually, whenever he comes to my house, he draws a lot. Can I draw? Can I color? And it's always has to do with the angels, especially Archangel Michael.
Yeah.
He went out last Halloween as Archangel Michael. He talks to a lot of people about the angels, and I've told him you have to watch out, who you talk to. But he's got a friend at school who's interested in all that, and he's been collecting stones, all kinds of books. He's got his own little altar in his room. It's so cute. And whenever he comes and sees me, he's always talking about religion and drawing them constantly. It's amazing.
And didn't you say that he knew their names before anyone told him? The names of the archangels.
Well, Michael he talked about a lot, and he talks about Mary Magdalene, which was totally amazing because I didn't know about her, a lot about her, and he'll pick up books. He'll go to the library and he'll check out books, and he's constantly reading and watching movies, and he's just amazed by it. Yeah. He's also studied all about the Egyptians, the time of Jesus. He can tell you the whole story.
And how old is he now?
9.
And when did he start?
Oh, he must have been about 5 or 6.
Wow,
he
that's
started,
amazing.
Yeah.
Well, these crystalline children that are coming through, they're just so amazing. They're so loving. They're so knowledgeable. They're in constant contact with the angels, which I love. If you have a child in 10, more than likely that child is crystalline. And to see them looking at a wall, even as a baby, and smiling, that they're in contact with the angels and our past loved ones. And as they get older, you see them with that compassion, that love that is just coming from angels, and they have a knowing that's amazing. So your little one, he really,
yeah, I think
he
so.
really was connected. That's amazing.
And he's reading all about Native American Indians, which they're very spiritual, and shamanism, and he's touched upon on everything.
Yeah, he's going to be amazing when he grows up.
Oh yeah, and it's all the books I've read. Sometimes I think he knows a lot more than I do.
Yeah.
But he's always, whenever he sees me, comes and sits in my lap, and he goes through my books and he pulls them out. He starts reading them, and so we go somewhere, and if they have stones and there's toys, he wants the stones.
Now, do you always call in your angels for protection during the day?
Yes, I do. That took me a long time to get used to doing, and I'm glad you talked about that, because where there's light, there's darkness.
Exactly.
And you do need to protect yourself once you open yourself up to the angelic realm.
Yeah.
So it is important to protect yourself. Another thing I wanted to say was when people are getting messages, everybody gets it in a different way.
That's true.
And like with me, first of all, it has to come from the heart. That's what I believe in. It comes straight from the heart. And I'll get like a funny feeling, and then I get very emotional. And I've asked other people, and they say, well, that's how you know you're really connected. And sometimes it's embarrassing that you're crying. People don't understand why you're crying. And then I would say, when is that going to go away? And they'll tell me you don't want it to go away because that is proof that it is coming from a higher source.
And the right source. Yeah.
Right.
That's true.
But everybody gets their messages in a different way.
Yeah. I really believe that if everyone in the morning before they get out of bed, call in their angels and tell them, if you need to intervene at any time during the day, feel free to. Because they have rules and regs upstairs too, and they can't just interfere in your life without you giving permission.
Right.
And so by allowing them and giving them permission to help you, whether it's to guide you creatively or to help you in an emergency or just to give you messages, I think it's really nice that you invite them in. And they're there to serve us. They're there to protect us, love us, guide us, and why not ask them in the morning? What's the harm in that?
No, you don't forget either.
And you don't forget, yeah, exactly. A lot of children have difficulty sleeping at night. So I basically tell the parents, okay, when the child is down, if they don't want to do it themselves, as a parent, ask the 4 major archangels to be at the 4 corners of the room, guiding them, protecting them. And the children seem to lull into a quiet, nice sleep because they feel protected. And the angel wings are out there, even though they cannot, or they can see them, they can lull into a safe feeling of, okay, I'm in a safe place now, I can sleep. It's something that you can ask for. It's something that you don't have to pay for. So why not take the advantage of it? That's my thing. I know for myself personally, every time I've called an angel in for any reason, they've come through for me.
Yeah, me too. There's a little trick people can do to see if it does work, and that is every time I go to a mall, I'll ask the angels for a parking spot close to the door. Good. And I always find one.
Yeah, exactly. I've heard that story from other people too.
Yeah, and it does work.
Yeah, and that works, especially on a rainy day. Yeah, that would be very good. Yeah, and financially, if someone has problems meeting the rent at the end of the month, call in your angels and you say, all my needs are being met. You definitely don't want to say, I just need money for rent, because you will just get money for rent. But if you ask the angels, all my needs are being met, and you put it out there, they'll make sure that you have the rent money and whatever else is needed. You had mentioned earlier this morning about ask, believe.
And receive.
Right. You really have to believe in them. As children, we believed in Santa Claus. We asked for a certain thing from Santa Claus, and we got it. Because we asked, we believed, and we received. Well, the angelic realm is the same idea, but in a higher level. And I think if people got used to doing that, then it would resonate, and I think it would just pass from one person to another. If you wake up in the morning, you call your angels, and you're in a great mood, and things are working out for you, that's going to affect everyone that you come in contact with throughout the day. And I think that's something that's really special.
Well, what some people, I think, would think is they can call on an angel to give them money. Like, oh, give me a number and I'll go play it at the casino. No. It doesn't work that way. No. What I have found, if I needed money for something, first of all, I always thank them for what they do send me and meet all my needs. But when I really need extra money for a bill or whatever, how I find that it works after I ask is I'll get an extra day of work or more hours.
Right.
So it comes through that way. Or a check. This just happened to me recently. I got a check from a credit card from a store, local store, and I paid too much on it. So they sent me a refund check. So it's things like that. Or even with the gas company, they've overbilled me. So for 2 months, I didn't get a bill. It was zero. They would send it to me. So it works out in ways like that.
Right.
So it's not just free money you're getting.
Right. And I remember years ago when my father was in the hospital and I was in the hospital and I was in quite a bit of trouble physically. I had asked for a sign, a message, and I asked the angels. I actually felt like they were in the room with me. I felt that there was this little portal of 3 angels going back and forth from one hospital to another, to my father, to myself. And I noticed that after I had asked the angels for that, you come walking in and you plop down a book on the table and say, read it. And it was by Louise Hay, and it was You Can Heal Your Life. And I remember after you left, I flipped to the back page. And right as I'm flipping, it turned right to that page where it said lung issues and how to release grief. And once I did that, my whole diagnosis turned around. I got better quicker. I got out of the hospital faster. And so the angels work in wonderful ways. They kind of let you know. If you ask, it's not specifically what you're asking for. Like, I would have rather you just come in and say, okay, this is the message, but that wasn't how it worked. I had to work for it. I had to actually open that book, read it, and say, okay, this is what I need to do.
But it's amazing, though, because this has happened to me many times. You just randomly open it, and it's exactly what you need to hear. And it's the same thing with angel cards.
Yeah. You flip the angel cards, and the message is right there.
Everyone picks out the one that they need, and what they need for that time, what they need to hear. It's amazing. So there are angels out there.
Yeah. And you know, even if you ask an angel, give me a sign, is my uncle going to be all right? And then you'll see a feather floating down from the sky.
I'm glad you said that. I have one sitting on my dining room table, and the story is I had friends over for dinner, and we were talking about the angels. The husband always made fun of me, my stones and talking about the angels believing, but the wife believes. And all of a sudden, a white feather came falling down right onto the table right in front of us. Mm-hmm. So I still have that feather on the table. So
that's amazing. Yeah. It's amazing the miracles that go on. And so many people are having so many challenges right now. And if they just turn to them, if they just said, please, if you're out there, come and help me, or help me to deal, or help me to cope, whatever the case may be, they would be very surprised. They would be exceptionally surprised at the outcome. You're not going to, like you said, you're not going to hear a voice sounding like the burning bush saying, okay, you have to do this, 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 and this. But in your heart, or intuitively, or even just kind of like hearing a voice. It'll be your voice, because you wouldn't want any other voice to scare you. They'll give you the message. They'll give you the answers. It's just that you have to open yourself up and
pay attention.
Pay attention to that. Yeah, definitely. Pay attention. I know for us, we were separated for 30 years. Growing up, we didn't talk about angels or anything like that. We were just interested in having fun. And then meeting up again at 30 years later and being on the same path. We were definitely protected by them when we were younger, but we just didn't realize it. We just thought we were lucky. But so many people out there right now, even those that are even watching this program, they may have been flicking the channels, pushing the remote, and all of a sudden, here we are. It's because they need to hear this. They need to know that it's okay, that things are going to be okay. And just believing, and asking for this help is amazing. Our future shows will have different people speaking of different things, and hoping that this will get any given point, a message will be given to them that'll help them. So I want to thank you, Faye, for coming and sharing your stories. I hope to have you back here again.
Well, thank you for having me. It was fun.
It was fun. It was fun. And I think that, if anything, maybe something that we've said today has helped. Hopefully more people will tune in and see. And for the studio audience, please, thank you so much for tuning in. If you have a story or just want to remark about the show, please write to callingallangels444@yahoo.com, and I'll be happy to read them. And again, if there's any miracles or messages that we need to address here, I'll be happy to do that also. Thank you so much again. Dorothy Souza, Faye Silva, we send you all our angelic love to you. Thank you.